All right. It says we are live. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, single ladies. How are you? I hope that you guys had a wonderful day, a wonderful Monday. We pray that you had a blessed Lord's Day yesterday, just spending time with family and friends. And we hope that it was everything that you wanted to be. We're just going to take a second to wait till some people pour in because, we learned from last week. So last week we kind of started right on the money, and then when I got some feedback that people actually didn't catch who I was, and we didn't introducing ourselves. That whole part was missed. So if you are here, how about you just type a hello in the chat, maybe where you're from, or if you're watching this on the replay, how about you just give us a hello in the comments. Just let us know you're here and that you saw this live stream. We're going to get started in a minute or so, or a couple of seconds. Just want to make sure that we're up and running before we begin. Everything good? Anyone have the live stream up on YouTube already? Helen or Danielle? Anyone can? Just want to see if everyone can see. Everything's good. Oh, you're muted. I don't know if...
Okay, there's a little bit of a lag, but we're on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Again, welcome to our Christian Single Support Group. I am Shanintra. I am the creator and host of the Dear Single Women's podcast, which you can find right on this channel, Shanintra Says, every Monday. I am also the creator of this channel, Shanintra Says, where we go live. And I thank you for being here tonight. Or if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. I just would like to introduce the two lovely ladies I have with me today, this evening. Sorry, my little kitty cat just wants to keep tapping me. So please pardon, but I'm here today. I have Helen joining us from Good Hearts Meet. She is the executive matchmaker and relationship coach. And I also have Danielle here, who is the creator of Fresh Start Life Coaching. Fresh Start Life Coaching, where she also runs a life coaching program a life coaching podcast. And I think it's something that you guys would greatly enjoy. So how about you guys unmute and just say hello to the people?
Hi.
Hello to those that were here last week, and then those that are new. Welcome and welcome back.
Yes, absolutely. Very glad you're here. And thank you for tuning in last week. I saw our views were pretty good. So just want to thank you guys for the support. And we hope that our next few group meetings serve you well, just as last week did. So for this week, we're going to talk about being intentional during this holiday season, specifically with scheduling our calendars. And I'm looking forward to this exercise because this is definitely an area where I am not very strong in. I have many strengths, but actually getting things on the calendar and sticking to them is really not one of them. And as it pertains to my singleness, I should say, I don't know, for some reason, I can do this pretty well with like my job and my career, but like when it's actually something that's going to really benefit me, I'm like, I'll stay in the house another weekend. Why not? And then I'm like miserable, it's not good. It's not really healthy. And we really want to talk about being intentional because we know how during this holiday season, your singleness can definitely feel like more of an impact on you than maybe it actually would during other times. Like my singleness doesn't always bother me. It's just like a factor of life as anything else. But during this season, I tend to feel it a little bit more because, I live in New Jersey, very close to New York City, and there's just always like an activity going on. And I don't really want to go to it alone. I'm like, I want to do this with a significant other or a group of friends. And so I tend to feel it a little bit more during this time. So I love today that we're going to talk about how to schedule things on our calendar, how to look for some things that work for us, as well as just keeping our spirits high during this season when loneliness or depression may start to set in. What are some things we can do? So on that note, I want to turn it over to Danielle, who maybe could say a few words, and then we'll introduce Helen, who's going to walk us through this activity.
I like that. Thank you so much for just speaking to that. Someone actually brought it to my attention recently. They said, Danielle, what do you do that brings you joy? And I'm just like, I had some candy and I went outside, all these different things, which are not usually sometimes the best things, but I really couldn't answer that person. And she said, a lot of it, she said, ties back to how I feel like my worth. But then also she said, you need to be more intentional and schedule time. So works out for tonight, right? Tonight's topic to just do things for yourself. And she said, get dressed up, go do this, go out and do this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I thought about it. And I'm like, I've seen people do it on the movies, but it is so important to really take time for yourself, whether you're single parent, whatever season of like singleness you're in. Maybe you just had a recent breakup. I'm sorry for that, but still making time for self-care and just, doing something for yourself. So I'm like, I'm excited for tonight because I'm like, I have stuff on my calendar, but it's all work related. So I'm like, let's, find an even balance where I can have things that are fun, whether it's Christmas tree lighting, whether it is just going shopping, whether it's just getting a manicure, pedicure, which I know can be a little bit pricey these days, but just doing something, just saying, okay, taking a 20-minute walk around the park or just getting outside since I work from home. So yeah, I'm excited for tonight and look forward to learning with all of you.
Okay, should we get started then?
Yes, let's jump in.
Okay. All right, because I ran through this and it took a little longer than I expected. Mostly just my talking part. So we'll see. I'll try to condense it down as far as we can. If you have a paper calendar or if you need to go get one, I think it's nice just because you can jot things down, circle different options, erase things a lot easier than you can on your phone, even though most of this is going to have to be transferred in your phone if you want to be able to access it when you're out and about and check it. I use the Google Calendar. I'm assuming most people use that. So I've got my paper one, and the first thing we're going to do is just very simple, write down the commitments that you know are not going to change and that you know you can't miss. So it's only December 4th, so a lot of us probably don't have that in there for December. But so like your church's Christmas service, your women's group or small group Christmas dinner, work events, family gatherings that you can't get out of. We're going to get those down. So I'm going to give everybody a minute to kind of like get that organized. And of course, you can always watch this again. This is live, but you can watch it again and follow along. Once you do that, a big part for me for planning a schedule that minimizes the flake factor, where like you've got things on your calendar, but you end up burning out and end up not attending things and feel like you've wasted time, is wherever you've got something in the evening, mark yourself for taking work off a little early that day if you can. You're not going to go out late the night before. You're not planning on being up early the morning after, right? If you've got like an event and it's Friday night and you think you'll be out late, you can still go out Saturday morning, but you're not going to plan like 7 a.m. jogging. Maybe you'll give yourself a little grace and do 10 a.m. Like 10 a.m. brunch or work it off. I mean, that. I think planning helps us present ourselves at our best and to feel our best at events, because especially once we hit our 30s, we really tend to overestimate our ability to show up after a long full day of work or activities and be present in a positive mood. For me, I know my body starts to hurt. Like your shoulders are aching, your back might be hurting. So even physically, when you come to an event, you might not be feeling your best and therefore not giving out the best energy. Okay. Any questions so far?
That's just great practical advice. I really, really love that. It's like really setting yourself up for success to actually make sure that what's on your calendar gets to happen. Because I know for me, that's often what stands in my way. If I'm really tired, it's so easy to just dismiss whatever that was I had planned. So I really think that's great to avoid that flake factor. I wrote that down. I think that's a really cool way and something that'll stick in my head, like a really cool way of thinking about it, making sure that I set myself up for success so that I can actually go do stuff. I love it. Love it already.
Awesome. Okay, good. So that's step number one, is you put the things that aren't going to change and that you cannot back out on down in your calendar. So now you're going to move around these things. So Xing out, the night before, the morning after, giving yourself plenty of room. You now have these empty spaces. Typically, it's weekends because we're not working, but even when we're working, sometimes Wednesday nights are a great night. Thursdays can be good as well. Just for something early, like a dinner right after work, or maybe you get the time to meet someone for lunch. So that gives you just a little extra days for step number 2, which is the people you want to see. So these are the people you're going to feel guilty about if they call you like at the end of the month and you're like, oh, you are a dear friend, but I didn't leave any room in my schedule for you. And I'm sorry that you had to reach out to me first. I should have thought of reaching out to you. So January is still good enough to reach out now and plan something with a friend. If you go like, is your December kind of crazy? Let's see each other in January. Let's not let too much time go by. So you're going to write somewhere on a piece of paper or on a memo on your phone a list of those people. The ones who are local to you and that you absolutely want to see. And some people might be like, hey, I want to see them twice, so I need to write them down 2 times. So that's step number 2. What I like to do, step number 3 is where it gets a little complicated. I'm a big fan of Meetup. And the reason I like Meetup is the formatting kind of provides a barrier to entry. It's got tiny, tiny font and it's not huge on pictures. So the kind of people who read event descriptions, who host on Meetup and who attend Meetup events are generally a little more intellectual. It does keep out a lot of the diva jock crowd. Those are more like Facebook events, Eventbrite. So for someone who's a little more introverted or sensitive and looking to really meet like-minded people, Meetup can be a great option. I also love that you can see how many people are coming, and you can even see a little bit about what kind of people are coming. So like, if it's all guys and that's not necessarily what you want to walk into, then you can also take a pass, or you can bring 3 girls to counteract that dynamic. Meetup, for me, I like it because you can build in that flake factor again. If it's a dinner for 12 people, then of course you don't want to sign up unless you're sure you can make it. But if it's an event with 30 plus people, then you can put it on your calendar, you can RSVP. And then here's the part where I say it gets complicated. You can invite your friends from step number 2, right? You can look at this event and be like, oh, it's a drawing class. It's free. It looks like there's a lot of single young professionals in their 30s and, late 20s going, or just the vibe is perfect for me. I think my friend might also like it. And you can invite a friend or 2 to go with you. So I like to do that, give them a couple days to respond. If there isn't an event that you want to put on your calendar and invite your friends to, another great way is to just send a text to one of your friends and be like, can you look at your calendar for the month? When are you free? And then they'll give you a couple dates and times. You pick one and write it in your calendar. You're going to check in with them. My friends and I like to check in with each other like the weekend before, a few days before, because you never know what's going on. And even the best friends, sometimes it'll be like, hey, we're still meeting next week, right? And it's like, oh, I didn't put it in my calendar. I'm so sorry, I'm double booked. And that gives you the opportunity to rebook your friend and apologize. But it happens to all of us. So it does take a little more intentional planning to connect and have those good times together. Any other questions?
I like that. I like that. What do you do? How can you work around if your friends tend to more like they really just want to do the like meeting for coffee or lunch kind of thing, which I think, that's okay, but sometimes you want to go to some place or see something. Like the meetups do have a lot of cool things going on, and maybe you want them to go with you there, but you're used to like just sitting down for lunch with them. Is there a way that we can like kind of transition them to being the friend that you also go out with and actually do something with?
So there's a lot of meetup lunch and coffee events.
Okay.
So you're definitely going to pick a cool one that you think might tempt them. And if they're already married, then you can say, hey, you need to do me a solid. I'm trying to get where you are. And if they're single, then you can just tell them, hey, you need to come out too. Like this is important for us. You
Okay.
can always plan to meet a little earlier. Or, I mean, the great thing about bringing a friend, the BYOF, bring your own friend, is that if the event is a bust, you've already got the party with you. So you and your friend or friends are going to have a great time regardless. You can also decide to go somewhere else nearby if you really don't like the event. Don't get me wrong, that one-on-one with the friend and that deep talk, that's important too. But if you can maximize it, like, what is it? Catch two birds with one stone. We need a better metaphor for that, but that's even better, right? You can sit there with your friend looking cute while you guys talk, or you can go somewhere and sit there looking cute where there are also cute men.
Bingo. Love it. Yeah. Thanks, Helen.
I think one last thing I want to say about scheduling yourself is one big thing you want to avoid is you don't want to be motivated by loneliness. So that's kind of why you want to have this planned out. If you just feel lonely, so you go somewhere, it tends to give off that lonely energy. And that brings us to safety. Safety is going to be an issue. It's for everyone, right? Men or women. The risk increases when you're by yourself. Just a fact of life and of being a part of the animal kingdom. So if you can BYOF, it's always nice to have a friend who can raise the alarm if you didn't come back from the bathroom or, God forbid, like didn't come home. Like one friend is good, two friends are even better. If you've got 3 or 4 friends, you've got a party. So like don't stop inviting your friends to things with you. And you have to remember that there are people who intentionally go to these events knowing that some people are new, they've just moved to this area. Other people haven't moved at all, but all their friends have moved away. There are lots of men and women, all their friends suddenly get married, and you're back to starting from scratch. And there are predators, financial predators, romantic predators who know that that's the case. So when they're out there prowling around, you want to make sure they look at you and go like, oh, well, never mind. She's got a support network. Those are usually like the first people who come up and talk to you, other than the host.
The predators?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll zero in quick. Yeah.
That's definitely good to know because I do tend to go places alone. It's just a matter of where I am and I guess how I typically live my life. I don't know. It's not intentional, but I do tend to end up places by myself. It's either that or stay in my house. Although now I have some more tools. I'm going to try something new, right? So this is happening in real time. even for me, I'm going to take what I've learned tonight and apply that and see if maybe I can go out with people, with my friends next time instead of being alone. But I agree. I think that going out alone, there's definitely the safety concern, which is it easily for me factors into the flake factor, because then I'm just like, I don't know how safe, how comfortable I'm going to feel being at this event alone. And then all the more reason for me to do my naturally introverted thing and just stay home. And then, it's like a vicious cycle that kind of repeats, because then I'm home and I'm lonely and things are bothering me and I'm mad that my life is still like this. And it's just like a kind of a vicious cycle. So I wanted to mention, in addition to just like feeling safe, I think that when you go out alone, your guard is like higher. And of course that's a good thing, but I mean, it's not a great thing in terms of like people trying to actually get to know you and talk to you, because you do kind of give off a vibe like, stay away. And that's good for the bad ones. But then like, if you're actually trying to like meet guys or meet newer friends, you give off a vibe of like, no one should come near you because your guard is higher. But whereas if you're in a group, if you're with 3 other girls, you're less likely to have that guard up to a point where you're pushing everyone away, or they could feel it in your energy that like, she's not someone like I really want to just strike up a conversation with. Which has happened to me as well. Like I did the thing by actually going out, but then I really didn't talk to too many people. Like nothing really happened. I was just there in a physical place, enjoyed it for what it was, but then went right back home. And it was like, okay, I'm not just seeking to literally just get out of my house. I want to make connections with people. And I think that's why we titled this Being Intentional Overall, because you got to think like, what are my goals? What am I trying to accomplish with this? And I know for me, like I almost would feel worse doing it that way, because I would feel more alone, because I went out and I like sat there and I was pretty much by myself the whole time, really just made small talk, but almost to the point where I didn't even introduce myself to people. And then I just got in my car. I like looked over my shoulder to make sure no one was following me to my car. And I just drove home. And then I was like, what just happened there? I almost felt worse than if I probably had just stayed in my house and had a comfortable night in. So I agree overall that going out alone is just probably not the best thing to do, because your guard is higher, and which can just push everyone away, or the opposite end, maybe your guard's not high enough, and you can, those predators and bad things can happen. So I just wanted to share that little example from my life, just to co-sign that as much as possible, try to build your network, build your community, get some friends that are willing to go out and do some of these meetups and things with you.
Okay, I'll jump in. I'll speak to that too. I think the 3 things that came to my mind was, one, as we talked about having friends come with you, making sure it's not the friends that make you late to everything or that come late to things, knowing that this event maybe is only held once, or like maybe once or twice a month. And that friend that's like, oh yeah, I'll meet you, I'll come to your place and we'll go together. But it's the friend that's always late. So saying, maybe we'll meet there. So even if you're there an hour early and they come an hour later, you are enjoying the event and you won't be, maybe as sometimes there's just words, I'm trying to think of the best word, but won't be as resentful, saying that, we're supposed to go together and you maybe miss the whole event. And then also not that friend that's negative. It's like, oh, they should have done this, or why are they doing this? Or they say they're going to start at this time. That doesn't help either. So sometimes you're like, I was just better off coming by myself if you're going to be late and negative. So those are 2 things. And then also, I know for me, I'm working on being more intentional, and I need to transition from doing the meetups where it's meetup online, which is great, but then I need to do meetups in person, because sometimes it's like you really don't get a chance to know people as much. It's easy to just kind of be behind the camera, you see them, but don't really get a chance to build that connection. But to me, also being intentional means not doing a meetup event where I'm volunteering in some way, because I will do that and I'll sign up and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do this new thing, but I'm going to volunteer at this animal shelter, even though they're having like a fundraiser. I like animals. So I'm going to volunteer, but in that, I'm behind the scenes. I don't get to meet people. And I'm so busy serving that I'm just like zoned in on that and I miss everything else happening around me. And then also my another point, and then I'll be my last one, I promise for a while. I know with Helen mentioning too, sometimes when I do meet up, there's nothing in my area. And I was thinking I'll just drive 2 hours. And I'm like, oh, 2 hours is a lot. And I know Helen has many good points on not driving 2 hours to these events. So, what would your guidance be for those that say, okay, well, there's nothing like local, but how far should I drive? How far should I be willing to go for events?
Okay. So if there isn't anything like Meetup in your area, then some other good ones are the Rotary Club. They do a lot of volunteer work, but it's just great people. Of course, start with your church. Invite people in your church for coffee. Ask them to hang out with you. Or if there's a community service project, ask them to like go to dinner after or, dinner before, or, like extend that personal time so you're not just going to work, but you're also like surrounding yourself with their warmth and, snuggling into their humanity. Let's see, Rotary Club is a good one. There's also like most cities have like a women's club as well. You want to look for, and if you go to like the local coffee shop, they might have flyers of events. My sister was in La Jolla, San Diego for a while, and that city for some reason is just not really online. Like she couldn't find a babysitter or a daycare on Yelp. It was hard for me to find her an esthetician to give her a gift certificate for her birthday. I had to go on Instagram. Like some cities don't need to be plugged into the internet like that. So you have to kind of do some good old-fashioned detective work to plug yourself in. A great thing is like we should know who we like, so we know who we want to see more of and what kind of people we want to spend more time with. There's always good people in your circle. That friend who's late, I would show up to her house an hour before and get her ready. Yeah, that one you don't even need to throw away a friendship waiting for her to come on time. And that's great practice for future motherhood because you will be spending the hour before you need to leave, making sure everyone else is ready on time. So you can just consider this practice. Be like, girl, you need to get your shoes on. Oh my gosh. Oh, wardrobe. So does everybody have their winter wardrobes ready?
Tell me about it.
So my mom she was kind of ultra Christian where vanity was a sin. So the plus sign is I love myself no matter what I see in the mirror because it was always unadorned. It was always plain. But then also I'd have events for school where I bought a dress, but I didn't think about it until I was heading out the door that my shoes didn't match, my purse didn't match, and I didn't have a coat, and it's snowing outside. Like, so it took me a lot of work to start figuring out ahead of time. It seems like wasted time. So that means you ladies might need to go shopping. A warm, chunky sweater, get your boots out, make sure all your bags still match and look good, your coats, check them over. What are your colors this season? What is the impression you want to give for a certain event? Yeah.
I love it.
So,
That sounds exciting.
yeah, and depending on the event, it's like, hey, to this, I'm going to wear sneakers. To this, I'm, going to wear boots. I have days where I would like to look as tall as I possibly can, right? I'm 5'1". So that takes a little more planning. Do you ladies have anything special in your closets for Christmas?
Uh, I actually just thought of this. I bought like a green pea coat that I didn't really wear last year, so it screams like Christmas. But I need to definitely do better in the wardrobe department. I just it's in terms of going out, like having clothes, most of my clothes are clothes for work, which also doubled as clothes for church. So, not really having much of a social life. That was really the two places I spent most of my time. And so it was just like, that's just where all my clothes fell. And then I have like two pair of jeans for if I go grocery shopping, or I recently bought some sweats to add to that. But like, yeah, I need to step it up in that department, because I know that probably does factor into me not really wanting to go out too much as well.
Hmm.
Just I see how everything is coming into the conclusion where I don't have much of a social life. Like I'm realizing this is not just one of those things that has just happened. I'm like, okay, your clothes are not really where you want it to be. You're always tired, and maybe not having a lot of community or people you go out with. So all those three things right there will make me say, yeah, just stay in my house. So thank you, because at least I feel like I'm getting to the root of where this comes from, and that helps me, because now I'm like, oh, one by one, let's address those so that we can end up having more of the reality that we want.
And it doesn't take much. Each season, it's just a couple pieces. This is a good one for ladies. I hosted a clothing swap, and a bunch of us got together. We brought all the clothes that were too nice to kind of throw away, but we didn't want to wear anymore. And from there, I got this lovely, like, burnt orange dress. That was my Thanksgiving dress, and I wore that dress 4 times in the month of November with the same boots and the same bag. Different accessories sometimes. I think I repeated the same exact outfit twice. But so it doesn't take much, just a few key pieces. It doesn't have to break the bank. I always tell the guys too, like, you need a good watch. Your shoes have to be quality and be clean, because those are the ways we boost our self-confidence, but also kind of catch the eye, right, of your potential mate, like a peacock, like. If you've got a nice necklace, if you've got a little bracelet, again, doesn't have to be expensive, just has to be something that you got yourself because you liked it. I love Christmas sweaters because they make people look huggable. Yeah, two of my friends at church yesterday had big chunky sweaters on, and I just could not wait to be like, hi.
That's true, and they're so cute. They really are cute.
Yes. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, I get too cold, so I'm always wearing a shirt, a sweater, and a jacket. So, but they were out with just the sweater, and I remember being a little jealous. That's one of my weaknesses. I'm like,
We do have a question in the chat, Helen, if you want to check it out.
awesome. Oh, okay. Going out alone. Okay. So, Marge, am I saying that right? Okay, Marge Diamond asked, someone told me that going out alone attracts men if you're looking to date. Men won't approach you if you have a friend group. What are your thoughts? Whoever told her that is technically right. Going out alone attracts men like crazy. The problem is, how I said that usually the predators are one of the first guys to come bounding up to you? They've always got that twinkle in their eye. And me, from 2 decades of working with at-risk youth, mostly boys, I know that twinkle. That twinkle means trouble. If a boy or a man comes up to me and they've got that grin and that twinkle and the hey, and I'm standing by myself, my response is instinctively like, no. Because the sad thing is, when a woman shows up by herself, the message you're sending is, I didn't have anyone else to come with. They don't see like, oh, she's so brave, she's making an effort, she came out anyway, she's not insecure. They just see like, oh, you really didn't have anyone else to come out with. So it's the ones who want to tell you lies, who want to string you along, see multiple people behind your back, who think they can get away with it, because you're going to be isolated and be like hungry for their love, more likely to fall for their excuses. And you don't have a big older brother or a father at home, or, or my dad's the same height as me, 5'1". So like anybody to really bring them, like call them to task if they treat you badly. If you have a friend group, if you've got 2 or 3 women with you, it takes a guy with courage to come up to you and say hello. So that's going to be a guy who has the conviction that he's a good guy. He's going to come up to you thinking like, I might get rejected, but I'm okay. So she might say yes. He's not trying to pull anything except maybe your number. If the guy is in a group of 2 or 3, that's even better. And I encourage my male clients exact same thing. I say, bring friends. Bring your cousin, bring your best friend, bring your neighbor. So the girls can also judge you by your friends and they can tell that you're a decent guy. Marjay also asked, is that only good if you're going out to meet new friends and build your community? Which part? Is which part only good?
I think the going out alone.
It can work. I think I've definitely gone to meetups where I make a female friend and then she and I go to other meetups together. You do have to be perceptive, use your discernment. And I think that can work. What I would do if you're going out alone is focus on female heavy events, women's events. And you should be plugged into circles like that at church anyway. If you're not in your women's group at church, maybe join one or create one.
That's definitely great advice. And it also helps with that safety piece as well. You don't feel so vulnerable if you're going out to things with mostly women. So in terms of building friendship and like a nice community and a circle. So yeah, I think that's all great advice. And I never thought you're looking, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I never thought to be looking at how if the guy is alone, because I'm like, there's truth to that. If you're in a place and he's by himself and just bouncing around and seeing whose number he can get, and like, yeah, it doesn't read serious. It doesn't read that opposed to being they were like I'm with a group of friends, she's with a group of friends, I see this beautiful woman, I want to talk to her. Like that does feel it feels better than like a single guy just like, okay, whose number am I going to get? Which woman's going to say yes?
It's the players have that outside sales mentality. It's a numbers game where they're going to go hit on 10 girls. So if 8 say no, that's fine as long as they walk away with 2 phone numbers. The decent, genuine, real men who are going to make good husbands and good fathers, when they come up to you, they're nervous, and they might come up to 3 different women at the event, but they're nervous every time. If they get rejected 3 times, they're going to go home really sad. Right? So I often tell them too, like, hold on, wait, save your pass until you're really confident about a girl, and then you can approach her and try to seek a more one-on-one relationship. One thing to keep in mind is that if there's just 2 women, it's very common for men to feel intimidated to approach because they think they're interrupting girl time. So 3 is a good number if you can get 2 girlfriends to come. I like to invite 4 or 5, and that way one has permission to flake. Or you can flake and the rest can still go and have a good time. Okay.
Definitely great advice.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else for us with, I'm sorry.
I'd love to ask Danielle, because she has said that she is in a community with mostly seniors. I think
Yes.
in the last episode and then today, that there aren't many online resources. So what is usually going on around your neighborhood?
Very good question. So sorry, do want to cut you off. So for those who don't know, I'm in California and I'm in the desert literally. So I was driving today and it's just sand, just mounds of sand, and we have our lovely sandstorms and different things like that. So it's common, sand and other things that come with sand and sand all over my car. So where I am, it's where people literally come to golf and do different things. Their grandkids come and visit them. It's just what I'm so used to, being around an older community. And honestly, I've grown up around more older people. So that's what I'm used to. So around me, when it comes to things, there's not really like a lot of events for kids. Our mall is kind of lacking. It was just bought out recently by someone else. So hopefully they're going to bring back the movie theater and things like that. And there's literally like only one road kind of in to where I am. And it's just like has this charm, this kind of old school, kind of 40 years ago charm. But in that, other than like the Chamber of Commerce, it seems to have all these events. We do have our nightlife, but it's for just older kind of men and different things. So our downtown is really not like a downtown. So for me, that's why I do meet up and I'm part of like a group and it's a Christian Single Bible study, but they're based in Canada. So that makes things a little bit challenging because it's a whole nother country. It's been, good people that are my age, but it's difficult. Or then when I do reach out to other people, it's different counties. And that was what I was part of recently. Once again, another virtual Bible study, and there was like 6 people, and once again, everyone was over like 50 and over. So it's different and difficult to find like something. There's like the churches around me don't have singles groups. With my church, the pastor kind of takes a stance, which has its good and bad parts. He's like, okay, serve more and do more. But he's like, instead of starting something new, get plugged into what's already here. And I'm like, well, if it's not here, I can't get plugged in. So, in that I've tried, meeting other people my age, and I do at other churches, but it's just like, okay, I want to be loyal to my home church, but then want to try different churches, find something to get fit for my daughter, and then also for me too. But I'm still in between. So going back to your question, when it comes to like events and other things, we do have events, but they're not for singles. And so I'm purposely being kind of brief with it. The events are just sometimes just interesting events that might not be a good fit for my season in life. But
Mm.
and knowing that, I'm like, okay, so that's why I kind of venture out a little bit more. So I just have to seek things a little bit further, if that makes sense.
If they've got golf with, co-ed golf with ladies do it too, driving lessons, putting, or tennis, or gardening, or swim lessons, like at the Y, those are good places for you to start because people in their 50s and 60s can often have younger siblings, nieces and nephews, old coworkers, the young man who bought their business when they retired, So get out there and get yourself busy in local areas where you don't have to drive so far. You can go 15 minutes. And I think some of those events, they would welcome your daughter as well. And I
Perfect.
bet
Thank
you'd look
you.
cute in those outfits too. So
And thank you so much for bringing that up too. Also, for those that are listening that might be single parents and have kids too. And so I know that brings a whole other dimension to, where you go, how late you stay out, how long the babysitter's willing to stay. And you're like, okay, do I want to pay for an event or go to a free event? I have this babysitter for this many hours. What do I want to do? So you really have to be intentional because you're like, my time is money in this case. But I like that idea too of finding events where we both can maybe attend, but maybe something that has something just for children, something just for adults, something that's just separate versus taking your child along with you and maybe can't enjoy the event as much. So I know sometimes it adds another kind of little complication to it, a little bit harder, but it still is worth it. And say, okay, like Christmas tree lighting events or other holiday events, okay, we can go see Santa, but then also do other things too, or just say, hey, we're not going to go to the Christmas tree lighting event because it's mainly geared towards kids. I need a grown up event and find a grown up event too. So it's okay to do that.
yes, absolutely. Okay. I am going to check everybody's homework next week.
Okay. Thank you.
I
I'm
will.
looking forward to it.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a few more minutes left. If anyone would like to put final questions in the chat. This has really been very helpful and just an edifying discussion. Just to know that again, with the community, we're all kind of in the same boat. We're doing this together. We're trying to figure out how to build a life, build our weeks, our days to be more of something that works for us and what we're looking for. It's nice to know, Danielle, that you and I are alike, that a lot of stuff on the calendar is mostly work related or, just not a lot of that social piece. Cause I always feel like, man, what's wrong with me? Why is everything so out of balance? But I'm like, okay, I'm realizing I'm not alone. Sometimes it's just something you tend to do as a single woman. Sometimes just focus on what's successful. That's what I'm like, well, I know this area is doing well, so let's just focus there. But I want to be well-rounded, and I think we all do at the end of the day. And these were really good tips that will allow us to do that and make that happen. So Helen, as we wrap up, could you just quickly run down that list of how do we be intentional about scheduling our days?
So Mondays, one of the reasons I liked meeting on Monday is because you already need to be thinking about what you're going to be doing this weekend. If you can have most of your weekends this month planned out by the middle or end of this week, you're going to start off in a much better place. So again, get down on your calendar the essential events that you can't miss, that you're definitely going to be at. Build in rest time before and after all events. Circle your empty spaces and just join some meetup groups. Start scrolling, get flyers from your local coffee shop, check out local events. If you're interested in an event, your list of friends and family that you want to spend time with, invite them to those events. Put them on your calendar. Remind your friends and family, hey, you're my +1. You're taking me to this event. And really be proactive about going out and putting yourself in places you're going to enjoy, where you're going to meet people you like. You don't have to get someone's phone number and start dating them. This is an awful time for that, but it's a terrific time for meeting new people in a really festive atmosphere. And then lastly, put a little investment and effort, permission to buy yourself something nice to wear out for the holidays. Doesn't take too many pieces, just make them thoughtful, things that you're going to use every year. Christmas things might not be appropriate for summer, but if you know you're going to pull that sweater out next year with excitement, treat yourself.
Very nice. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Helen. So, ladies, we look forward to checking in with you next week and just hearing how things are going. You can feel free to leave a comment on this video of just one thing that you're going to do, or how are you going to begin to implement what we learned tonight, just to make your weekends more what you want it to be. And again, I do love that idea of today is Monday. You have time to start doing this and thinking of how you're going to make your weekends work for you. And remember, right around Wednesday, you should have your plan, right? You should know what it is you're going to do. So this is fun, and this is something that you get to do for yourself. It is like a gift to you, so gift to future you. So we hope that you enjoy going through this process and just finding some things that you can do during this holiday season and make it really fun for yourself. Danielle, you want to say any final thoughts or maybe close us out?
Oh, yes, I can close you out. Yeah, let's close all of us out, right?
Yeah. Oh, no.
I don't think that was on purpose.
Okay. I was like, that kind of close. It's kind of funny. Well, for next week, while we wait for Danielle to get back, and she'll close us out in prayer, everyone. So next week we're going to figure out what it is we're going to discuss. Okay, she's actually back.
Sorry about that. Yeah, like just it booted me out. I'm like, okay, the phone like hurt me. It just kicked me out. I'm like, it wasn't done yet. But technology for you. But I think brought up a lot of good points, and I really like how we talked about that flake factor. And so I know it can be easy this time of year to just sign up for all these events. We'll, leave this meeting and then from there say, okay, I'm going to sign up for these 10 things and be intentional, but really making sure, as Helen stated, things that you really want to do. Because I've noticed that where I've signed up for 5 different things and I'm like, oh, finally there's something in my area and I signed up, but I knew it wasn't something I wanted to do. Then the day comes and I think about it and then I don't go. And so I'm like, I just flaked on 3 different events. And I'm like, but Danielle, you knew when you signed up for it that it really wasn't your interest, that it really wasn't something you really want to do. So it's that whole thing of like, let's say it's like quality over quantity sometimes. So instead of signing up for 10 things just to be part of something, just to see, maybe just signing up for just maybe 3 things, doing what's doable for your schedule, but also as we discussed tonight too, just your energy level. A lot of times you say, when I would like, for me, when I was 25, I could do this and stay up until 3 a.m. and do this, this, and this. Now I've noticed I'm like, okay, it's 7 o'clock. Is it bedtime yet? So, sometimes getting tired, but then realistically saying, okay, many of us have worked, or many of us are working on projects, or we have school, or we have other things, caring for family members, or just other activities, or just all these different things, volunteering at church, the different things that are just on your plate. And saying realistically, I want to go to 5 or 10 events, but I only have energy for 1 or 2 events, and that's okay. So not feeling bad, saying no, especially during this time of year, we can't do it all. There'll be all these invitations, do this, go here, do this. Like yesterday, really quick as we're closing out, we had an angel tree project party at our church, and I had volunteered to be there, which was exciting. I'm like, I want to attend the event, but then I gone to church, then set up, taken a break, and then came back to church for the event. And I said, Danielle, you're only staying for an hour. And I stayed for an hour. And a part of me was like, oh, I should have stayed later. I should have helped to clean up. I should have done this. But knowing that I was just tired when I was there and I was serving. And then come to find out, I think the event was like from 2 to 4. And most people seem like that had served didn't leave until like 7 or 8 at night. And so I'm just like, I couldn't have done all of that. So it's great to serve, but I'm like, I'm glad that I didn't sign up for that, because I know that there's a lot. And I'm like, before, when I was in my 20s, I could, be there and go to church and set up and then be there to shut everything down at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night. But now it's just not the season I'm in, and I just don't have the energy, and that's okay. So it's okay to just go. Yeah. For an hour, I went for an hour. I was able to be a blessing. I enjoyed it. It was great. I learned, they were blessed. I was blessed, but just not overcommitting myself. So I think that's the major thing from today, is just not overcommitting yourself, especially during this busy holiday season when everybody wants your time and your attention and your focus. Really mapping it out, as we talked about in the calendar. Make sure that you can spend time with friends and you're not spending, 6 hours with this person and then 1 hour with this person, maybe balancing it out and finding what works best. But I'm just glad to join you all on this journey of being intentional. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that wrap up. That just really put a nice stamp on everything that we've discussed tonight. So yeah, thank you so much. And we got to figure out what we're going to talk about next week. So if you guys have any ideas, please leave a comment on this video, or we will have to give our contact info so you guys can figure out how to reach us, maybe through email or something. Whatever would work best for us. We will definitely keep you guys posted on what's the best way to communicate with us. But we want to hear from you. We want to hear what are your thoughts? What are some things that you are going through this holiday season? What would you like to have us discuss? Because, even though we are single women, we are individuals. And so maybe there's something unique that's coming up for you that maybe we haven't thought about. How can we pray for you? That's something that we also would like to know. This is a Christian singles support group. And so we believe in keeping Christ at the center of all of this and just relying on him to even do the things that we've learned tonight. Because I think when you've built up a habit of like not putting yourself first or being intentional about you and your needs for community and support and all of those things, it can be very easy to fall back into not doing anything. And so just relying on God to help you overcome that resistance or whatever it is that's kind of blocking you from building a life that makes you happy, something that you want to wake up to and go and enjoy. Rely on God for that. Rely on God for that, because it can be hard. It can be hard to even take that step to get out there. So I know I will be relying on God, definitely. And we trust that in faith, you guys will too. So Danielle, please close us out in prayer.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and I promise it won't be long-winded because, I grew up in a Baptist church, so I could pray for days. We're just going to keep it short and sweet. So I will start. So, dear Lord, we thank you for this time. I thank you for all these ladies that are here just sharing, for those that are watching, for those that are going to just listen to the replay later. I don't know the seasons that they're all in, the things that they're facing, but I know that common theme of this season sometimes is just loneliness and wanting to have family and be together and so much more. But I just thank you that you're with us in this time and in this season, this time of where we see celebrations and we see so many things going on and we want to be joyful. But at times, sometimes our hearts ache, maybe for family members that are not there this year, maybe for losses, maybe we're just not in a place in life where we thought we'd be by now. Lord, may you just meet us there in those times and help us to just be intentional. Sometimes I know as a single person, I am waiting to be discovered, but just may I be reminded that I've already been discovered by you, that may we all just be reminded too, that we just all have worth in you, that we have a purpose and a calling and so much more. So regardless to our relationship status, may that not just determine how we see ourselves. And may we just be reminded of how you see us, that we're loved and we're valued. Help us to do something for ourselves, not just this season, but just throughout the year, whether it's getting an outfit, just caring for ourselves and just doing little things, just speaking positive things over ourselves and surrounding ourselves with people in our lives that are going to be a blessing to us, that are going to build us up and encourage us. We thank you for just these these weekly sessions that we do have on Mondays. And we just pray for many more. We pray for just great topics. We just pray for great times and just great conversations. And just thank you for just the conversation today and what you're going to do and for just this community overall. And may help those that are listening just be reminded that they're never alone, that you're always with us, and that we're building these friendships and community. So we thank you for just this blessing and this gift during this busy time of year. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. What a beautiful prayer. Thank you. And thank you guys for tuning in. And so we will see you next Monday, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Shanentra Says channel. Thank you guys. Be blessed. And we look forward to hearing all those good reports, everything good you have to share with us next week. Bye now.